1. Introduction. My name is Ivy. This is a story about a man who changed my life. I met Jim after his mother's funeral. He was 30 years old. He was smart, quiet, and very sad. I came to his old house to help him sell it. The house was very old. The air inside felt heavy. Everything in the house was silent. It was like the walls could still hear his mother's voice. I saw her pictures on shelves. Her clothes were on a chair. Her old cup was in the kitchen. It felt like she still lived there. The house was full of her memory. Jim looked lost. He stood in the hallway. His hands shook a little. He told me he lived in that house his whole life. He never left. His mother wanted him to stay close to her. He explained he never dated anyone. He never had a girlfriend. He never even kissed a woman before. His voice was very sad when he told me these things. It broke a little. He tried to act strong, but I saw his deep pain. He looked very lonely. I felt something warm in my chest. I wanted to help him. I wanted him to breathe freely again. I wanted him to find his own life. On that first day, we talked about selling the house. Jim spoke softly, but behind his quiet words, I heard something much deeper. I heard many years of fear and loneliness. I heard about dreams that never came true for him. I felt a strong desire to help him. He seemed like a good man. I decided then that I would try to help him find a new start in life. 2. The sad house. When I came back the next day, Jim opened the door slowly. He looked afraid. His eyes were red from crying. The house felt colder than before. Dust lay on old furniture. The smell of old memories filled every room. It was a sad house, full of quiet sadness. We walked from room to room. We checked what to keep and what to throw away. Jim touched each item very carefully. It seemed to hurt him. Every photo, every dress, every old book made him stop. He would breathe very hard. Each thing was a memory of his mother. The house was full of her, even though she was gone. Jim started to tell me about his mother. He said she never let him go out much. She believed the world was a dangerous place. She chose many things for him. She chose his clothes, his food, and even his haircut. She told him that love was dangerous, too. Jim always listened to her. He wanted to be a good son. But now his mother was gone. The quiet house made him shake. He did not know what to do without her rules. He felt lost. He did not know who he was without her telling him what to do or think. All his life, her rules were his life. Now there were no rules, and he felt very alone. That evening, he sat on the floor. Tears fell quietly from his eyes. He looked very sad. I sat beside him. My hand was close to his. He whispered that he felt completely alone. He had never felt this way before. I leaned closer to him. The space between us felt warm and new. He cried for a long time. I just sat there next to him. I did not say much. I just let him cry. It was important for him to let out his sadness. The house was a quiet place for his tears. The house truly felt like it was crying with him. Each room held a story of a life lived under strict control. The heavy curtains blocked the sun, making the rooms feel even darker. Jim pointed to an old piano in the corner. He said his mother made him practice for hours, but he never truly enjoyed it. He only played because she wanted him to. He never chose his own music. He never chose his own path. Now, the piano was silent, just like Jim's life had been for so long. He looked at me with sad eyes, asking without words what he should do now. His whole world had changed, and he felt like a small boy in a very big, scary world. 3. Our first kiss. Jim cried softly. My heart felt heavy for him. He sat on the floor and I was next to him. I slowly put my hand on his arm. He looked at me. His eyes were red, but they had a new light. A light of fear, but also a little hope. It was a moment of quiet understanding between us. He spoke in a very quiet voice. He said he had never touched a woman before. He meant in a loving way. He said his mother always told him that touching was bad, that love was dangerous. He never learned how to be close to someone. He told me he was afraid. Afraid of me, afraid of this new feeling, afraid of everything that was not his mother's rules. His whole body shook a little as he spoke. He looked down at his hands, which were shaking too. I looked at him gently. I wanted him to know he was okay. You are safe with me, Jim, I said. My voice was calm and soft. I wanted him to feel warm and protected. I slowly moved my hand from his arm to his hand, holding it gently. His hand was cold, but I held it firmly. He moved closer. It was very slow. His face was near mine. I could feel his breath. He looked into my eyes, asking for permission without words. I did not move. I waited. Then his lips touched mine. It was a very soft touch, like a feather. It was his first kiss. He was learning what it felt like. It was pure. It was warm. His whole body trembled again, but this time it was different. It was not just fear. It was something new and good. He pulled back quickly. His eyes were wide. He looked shocked, like he could not believe what he had just done. But there was also a small, new light in his eyes, a light of surprise, of courage. I smiled at him. I held his hand tighter. Something big changed in Jim that evening. It was a small moment, just one kiss, but it was a first step. The silent house did not feel so silent anymore. It felt like it was starting to breathe. Jim was starting to breathe. A new part of his life had just begun. He was no longer just the sad man. He was Jim, and he had just taken a very brave step. 4. A big decision. The next days were full of many memories. Jim and I spent hours together. We opened boxes in the quiet house. These boxes held his mother's old things. There were old clothes, yellowed letters, and many small gifts. Each item brought a memory for Jim. He touched each piece carefully. Sometimes he smiled a little, remembering a small moment. Other times his eyes became sad and wet. He shared many stories with me. He told me about his childhood. His birthdays were often quiet and lonely. He talked about his mother's strict rules. She told him what to wear. She chose his food. He could not play with other children much. He could not go out to see the world. His mother said the world was a bad place. She told him love was dangerous. Jim listened to her because he wanted to be a good son. He never made his own choices. He never tried to reach his own dreams. He just followed her path. His voice was soft, but his words painted a clear picture of a lonely life. Slowly, Jim began to understand something important. He looked at his life. He looked at his mother's things. He saw the past clearly. He understood that he was not living his own life. He was living his mother's life. Her rules were his rules. Her fears were his fears. Her dreams were not his dreams. This was a big thought for him. It was a new idea, and it was a little scary. He saw the silent house differently now. It was not just his home. It was a cage of memories. One morning, Jim stood in the living room. Sunlight came through the window, but the room still felt heavy with the past. He looked around slowly at the old furniture and the pictures. He took a deep breath. His face was serious. He looked at me, and his eyes were clear and strong. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet, but it was firm. It was a voice I had not heard from him before. "I will sell this house," he said. "I must start my life now." His hands were shaking a little. It was not a shake of fear. It was a shake of something new and brave. This was the first big choice Jim ever made alone. He did not ask his mother. He did not ask me. He made it himself. I looked at him. My heart felt warm and full. I felt very proud of him. This was a big moment. It was not easy for him to say these words, but he did it. This decision was like a big door opening. It was the first step on a new path for him. It was his first step toward freedom. He was leaving the old life behind. He was choosing his own future. The house was not just a house. It was a symbol of his past. Selling it meant letting go of that past. It meant being free. Jim was starting to live his own life, finally. I knew this was just the beginning for him. 5. He starts to change. We met almost every day after that. My work was to take photos for the house listing. I needed to measure the rooms and prepare all the papers. But sometimes I did not need to come to the house. Still, I went. I told myself it was for work, but I knew the real reason. I wanted to see Jim. I wanted to be near him. Jim was different now. He started to walk a little taller. His shoulders were not so low. He looked at the world more. He began to try new things, small things at first. I took him to a small coffee shop in town. It was a busy place with many people. Jim looked a little nervous when we walked in. We stood in line. When it was his turn, he spoke to the person behind the counter. He ordered a coffee all by himself. It was a very simple thing, but it was the first time he had ever done it. He looked so proud after he ordered. His face showed a small, happy smile. Later, Jim decided to buy some new clothes. His old clothes were very plain. His mother had always chosen them. Now he chose new shirts. They had different colors. He even chose one shirt with a pattern. These were clothes his mother would never let him wear. He looked different in them. He looked more like himself. One afternoon, we were outside the house. A neighbor walked by. Jim had lived in that house for many years, but he had never really spoken to his neighbors. This time, he said hello. The neighbor stopped and they talked for a few minutes. Jim asked about the neighbor's garden. It was a simple talk, but it was a big step for Jim. He was connecting with the world around him. He even started to laugh more often. His laugh was still a little shy, but it was real. His smile became brighter each day. It was a wonderful thing to see. I felt more and more connected to him. Each day, I watched him change. I saw a new man growing. He was a man who wanted to learn new things. He wanted to feel new feelings. He wanted to truly live his own life. It was a beautiful change to witness. 6. Our connection grows. The line between my work with Jim and our personal talks slowly disappeared. It was a gentle change, happening day by day. We started talking about many different things, not just the house. We began to share our dreams and hopes for the future. I told Jim about my love for old houses and how much joy I found in helping people find new homes. It felt good to share these parts of my life with him. Jim, in turn, started to share his own dreams. He told me he wanted to learn everything about the world. He spoke of traveling to new places and experiencing different cultures. He also talked about reading all the books his mother had never allowed him to touch. When he spoke of these dreams, his eyes looked bright and full of excitement. It was a completely new look for him, filled with fresh hope and a strong desire for freedom. One evening, we were still sorting his mother's old belongings. We had been there for many hours. Suddenly, Jim stopped. He turned and looked at me with his deep, serious eyes. His voice was soft, but his words were clear and strong. He told me, "You make me feel alive." Hearing this made my heart feel incredibly warm and full. It was a sweet and honest confession, showing just how much he was changing. We spent more and more long hours together in the quiet house. As our conversations deepened, the air around us seemed to grow warmer. He was still a little shy sometimes, and he was careful with his words and actions. But with each passing day, his trust in me grew stronger. This trust felt like a very special and fragile gift. I felt truly happy that he was learning to trust someone new. After many hours of talking and sharing pieces of our hearts, it grew very late. Darkness had fallen completely outside. Jim looked at me with a question in his eyes. He then asked if I could stay the night. He did not ask for anything physical. He simply wanted to not be alone in the big, silent house. He needed comfort and a quiet presence beside him. I said yes. I stayed beside him, and we lay close together. Our hands touched lightly in the dark, a gentle and peaceful connection. Then I leaned closer to him and kissed him softly on the lips. He kissed me back, a gentle, unsure kiss that was still full of new feelings. We spent the night together. It was a night of quiet closeness, a new and important step in our growing connection. We simply lay close, finding comfort in each other's presence, feeling safe and warm. Our connection was becoming very strong, building a deep bond between us. Jim was not alone anymore, and I was happy to be there with him. 7, a new home. The old house was finally sold. It took many weeks. Jim had signed the papers a few days before. Now it was time to say goodbye. We stood outside on the sidewalk. Jim looked at the house one last time. It was the place where he had lived his whole life. He remembered the rules and the quiet rooms. But now those memories felt far away. He did not cry. He took a deep breath. It was a breath of fresh air. He whispered a soft goodbye to the old house. It was a simple word, but it meant a lot. He was ready to leave his past. I held his hand. His grip was firm. He was moving forward. After the sale, we looked for a new place for Jim. We visited many apartments. Some were dark, some felt small. Jim wanted a place that was different from his old home. He wanted light and space. He wanted a place that felt like his own. We looked for several days. Then we found it. It was a small apartment, but it was very bright. Sunlight came through the windows. The rooms felt open and clean. It was not cold like his old house. There were no old memories here. It smelled fresh like new paint. It was a smell of new beginnings. When we stepped inside, Jim looked around slowly. He walked from room to room. His eyes were wide. He touched the walls. He looked out of the windows. A soft smile grew on his face. It was a new smile. It was strong and hopeful. It showed the new life inside him. He felt happy and free. This apartment was truly his. He turned to me. His eyes were bright. He took my hands. He spoke in a clear voice. "I am not just a boy anymore," he said. "I want to live my life now. I want to make my own choices." He looked at me with much feeling. "I want to live it with you, Ivy," he added. His words made my heart feel very warm. They filled me with joy. I could see how much he had changed. He was a different man from the one I met in the sad house. He was brave and full of life. I knew this was only the beginning for him. His journey was just starting, and I was happy to be a part of it. We stood there, holding hands in his new, bright home. The future felt open for us both. 8, our new life. We stood in Jim's new apartment. It was the last day of his move-in. Around us, there were many boxes. The air felt light and full of new ideas. The walls were clean and bright. Jim looked at me. His eyes were soft, and he had a new confidence. He smiled, a true, happy smile that reached his eyes. He was not the same scared man I met in the old, dark house. That house was full of sad memories and strict rules. Now, Jim was different. He was learning every day about himself and the world. He was growing strong. He was opening his heart to new experiences and feelings. He was not afraid to try new things anymore. He had found his own voice. He made his own choices, big and small, with courage. He stepped closer to me. He put his hands gently on my face. Then he kissed me. This kiss was not like our first kiss. That first one was shy and full of questions, a new discovery. This new kiss was strong and full of deep feeling. It was the kiss of a man who knew what he wanted. He chose love with his eyes wide open. He was ready for it, ready for everything that came next. His past had many hard times. There was pain and many secrets from living under his mother's shadow. But all those things led him to this moment. They helped him become the strong man he was now. The future was wide open for us. For the first time in his life, Jim was not scared to walk into it. He was excited. He was not a lonely man anymore. He did not live in shadows. He was stepping into the light. He was Jim, a man full of hope and new dreams, and I was Ivy. We were ready to fill this new apartment. We would fill it with happy sounds like laughter and music. We would fill it with new memories built together every day. We would fill it with our love growing stronger with time. This was our beginning together. A fresh start in a bright new place. Our new life was waiting for us. Every day would be a new adventure. We would learn and grow side by side. We would build our future here, in this home we would make together. We had so much to look forward to.